The MTA this week announced that despite what's going on at 30th Avenue, despite what's going on 36th Avenue, despite the fact that all this is being bungled, that they're now going to renovate the Ditmars train station, one of the busiest train stations in our district, for 14 months.
A recent announcement by the MTA to close the Astoria-Ditmars Boulevard train station for 14 months for a construction project has caused uproar among local politicians and the public. On April 8th, Queens politicians and community advocates rallied in Astoria, Queens, against this new MTA construction project, protesting that it does not include the long-awaited installation of elevators or even a plan to renovate the tracks and upgrade the signals. The project is to take place from April of this year until June 2019. The rally, organized by Astoria's local elected officials, Council Member Costa Constantinides, State Senator Michael Gianaris, Assemblywoman Aravella Simotas, community leaders and small business owners, was also attended by members of the public. Speakers voiced their strong opposition to the MTA project, stressing that it does not include much-needed accessibility upgrades or any plans for improving the deteriorating subway service. Instead, they complained the renovations are largely cosmetic and are not worthy of the lengthy closures. The renovation plans, they also said, include updating the platform floors, lighting, artwork, tiles, Wi-Fi access, among other aesthetics. Other nearby stations of the NW above-ground train line, which runs from Ditmars Boulevard to Queensboro Plaza, have already been experiencing closures as part of a separate controversial renovation project, which began in the fall of last year. As the 30th Avenue and 36th Avenue stations continue to remain closed, the MTA is embarking on this new project, which fused a new uproar from local elected officials and community members. Speaking at the rally, Council Member Constantinides expressed his disappointment for the short notice given by the MTA, stressing that the authority announced the Ditmars Boulevard project at the February 5th Board 1 Transportation Committee meeting, giving a notice of only 2 months before the planned start. Furthermore, he complained, the MTA did not even provide any written notice or written information to the community board or to elected officials, something that prevented them from the opportunity to collect community input about this project. Constantinides characterized the project as, quote, a slap in the face of Astorians, end quote, noting that apart from inconveniencing the community for a long period of time, in conjunction with the simultaneous closures along the NW line, this renovation is more of an aesthetics project. This renovation, he further stressed, does not include the much-needed accessibility upgrades, such as installation of elevators, and more importantly, does not include a plan to improve the subway service. Speaking along the same lines, Senator Gianaris said, quote, our subways are in desperate need of better service and more accessibility, yet the MTA continues to embark on projects that inconvenience communities at great cost. The senator called on the MTA to reconsider its approach to fulfilling its obligations, and he pledged to continue fighting until they do so. Assemblymember Simotas and all other speakers who also addressed the rally also spoke in the same spirit as they expressed their disappointment and frustration for this decision, while small business owners said they are bracing for a loss of business because of the expected construction, which also includes street closures, removal of parking spots, and loss of visibility of their shops and restaurants.
Costa, we are on Ditmars Boulevard, the busiest station in Astoria. Actually, it's the last stop in Astoria. and I understand that the MTA is going to spend millions of dollars for renovations and some unneeded renovations. Tell me exactly what's going on.
They announced on Monday, without any notice, that they're going to renovate this station from April of 2018 to June of 2019. That's 14 months of disruption to this community, 14 months of businesses being impacted, 14 months of weekend closures and our residents not being able to need to go. 14 months of just making this community even more ripped apart than it is now, what they're doing 30th Avenue and 36th Avenue, where we see businesses already going out. So we are here today to say enough is enough.
And of course, if those renovations included some elevators, some easy access for people with strollers, for the elderly, you wouldn't be so upset. But there are renovations for Wi-Fi and stuff like that, beautiful benches.
This is the problem, that we need three things here in Astoria. We need elevators, so our families with strollers, our disabled community, our seniors can all access the public transit system. At a time when congestion is out of control, we need trains that run. So we need signal improvements and track improvements to make sure that the system is actually working the way that it should be working, and we're not getting any of those things. We're getting aesthetic improvements that are not necessary.
Okay, and I understand on your part from the City Council, you will not approve any funds, further funds for the MTA. Explain to me.
At this point, the MTAs keep saying they want more money from the city, but not giving us more input. They're saying to us, give us a blank check. We know what's best. Well, nothing that's happening here in Western Queens, nothing that's happening anywhere in Queens indicates that they do know what's best. They're dictating to communities, they're not listening to neighborhoods, not listening to residents. They're doing $172 million worth of track work, not track work, but the station upgrades here, without any of the things that people need. That's over $30 million a station. The MTA doesn't know what's best. The neighborhoods know what's best. And it's time that they actually take input for us, and I will not vote for a budget that allows the MTA to continue to abuse our community.
And finally, following this demonstration today, you think you're going to have any good results?
We have our online petition. We ask people to sign our petition. We're asking people to stay involved, call the MTA, make sure that they understand that this is unacceptable and that we're going to continue to fight for our neighborhood.
Thank you, Costa. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Elena, for being the great advocate that you are. Thank you.
Aravella, here we are again. Every time we meet, we're demonstrating in Astoria.
Here we are again. I don't have to tell you, we have to endure so many inconveniences with this above-ground train station. The noise, the pollution. It's not too much demand to make sure that everybody can get up to the platform to use our public transportation. That includes normal people, people with disabilities, seniors, and our families with young children.
And especially when they're doing aesthetics instead of improvements, such as elevators that we have been requesting for a very, very long time. Anywhere in Europe you go, train stations have elevators or escalators. Nothing here.
Well, all public transportation is accessible to the entire public. Just go to France, just go to Greece. The buses, the subways, they're all accessible because they were built with public transportation in mind. They had to move the masses. Here in this community, we can't even have our seniors traverse the stairs to get to their doctor's appointments. What does that say about our system? We do need an upgrade, but we can't put the cart before the horse. We have to make sure that everybody can ride it before we start doing upgrades regarding art and station art and technological improvements.
Right. Now, is the Assembly going to be able to support this petition that is going on now?
You know what? I know that the majority of the Assembly members in my conference are from New York City, so we all feel the pain. And many of my colleagues come from what they call transportation deserts, where they don't have public transportation options available to them. But they're all pretty mad about how much money is being invested in the stations that we do have, and especially that they're not even accessible to the entire public. And that's really what this is all about: public transportation. What does that phrase tell you? It should be available to the entire public.
And finally, you introduced a new bill this week. You want to tell me about it?
I did. What I want to do is make sure that all of our venues here in the city and the state have are accommodate families with young children. You know, there are not enough venues that have places where a mother or a father can change their young child. They're doing it on the floor. They're doing it, you know, on a bench. They're doing it anywhere but where they should have. They should be doing it in a private restroom on a changing table.
So is the bill going to pass?
I just introduced it, so I have a lot of work to do, but I can't imagine that it's not going to be passed and signed into law. Certainly the city and the state is one that welcomes young families. They are the lifeblood of the state, and we have to make sure that we accommodate them as much as we can.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Aravella.
Thank you.
Okay, Frank, who do you represent?
30th Avenue Business Association.
And how is this affecting the businesses here in Astoria, and especially here on Ditmars Boulevard?
Well, Ditmars Boulevard is going to have a partial shutdown. 30th Avenue has a full shutdown, much more affected. There's no walking traffic to the train anymore because they closed the train station down. And they didn't have to. They could have did a partial shutdown, let people continue to walk their normal route, and that's what the businesses depend on, walking traffic.
And I know you've been protesting. I know you've been writing petitions. Did you have any luck?
Well, we're starting to get luck. Conversations like this are starting to happen. The cameras are showing up. The microphones are showing up. Thank you very much.
Okay, good luck.
Okay.